try to press this upon people because it's more of a problem in the church today than I ever thought it would be. And it's serious because it's not God's plan. And so the second thing that happens is there are no communication skills developing because Junior or our little sis can't say what they want to say. Remember, I don't know if you do or not, but when I was a kid, it was kind of the conventional wisdom for Dad to say that kids should not speak. They should simply be there at the dinner table, shut up and eat, and that's it, you know. They're better off if they don't speak. And they don't do anything, and don't say anything. But that's changing today. But you see, as long as little sis and Junior cannot learn to communicate, and they have been pushed away and stuffed in regards to their feelings that they want to express, then that kind of atmosphere is destroying not only communication skills, but social skills. In some cases, especially if the family has a mother-dominant stressor, the tendency for the boy that comes out of that family is to be very intimidated by girls, threatened by girls. And the tendency could be that eventually, because they are threatened by girls and maybe ridiculed by girls because of their demeanor, because of the way they dress, because of the way they talk, they turn to little girls. I counseled a man in prison who, his mother was a domineering mother, father very passive. He never had the role model of a masculine father in his life, and so he feared women because of his mother. She was dominant. He went out and tried to get married, tried to get connected with girls. It was very much a struggle for him. Finally, he found a woman who was dominant like his mother. The tendency is always there. But you see, she was cold too because of her background, so the intimacy was very limited, if it happened at all. And the tendency now for him to look to his young, sweet daughter grew and grew and grew, until he reached the point of sexual abuse. Now, these aren't the kind of things we like to talk about on Sunday morning, are they? But they're a part of our world today, big time. And, you know, I would counsel him, work with him in prison, and it was so sad to see what he had gone through and how the prisoners were threatening him. He barely got out of there alive, and he was moved to another prison. And the constant fear and all of that going on. And it's hard to have any sympathy for men like that. But we go back to the dysfunctional family. Whenever we get out of God's plan for husbands and wives, get out of God's plan for parenting, get out of God's plan for making the family and the home an organism. And then we see problem-solving skills, you see, are not developed in this family. There are no problems. The primary stressor pushes them on the road. So the kids never experience how to compromise and work through problems and appreciate other people's opinions and help other people also as we work through problems to see their side of the picture. Unless we have young men who grow up in that kind of family that doesn't know how to communicate or don't know how to communicate with their wives. Am I hitting home here, ladies, a little bit? Big problem. I've had men cry in my office because they didn't know how to talk to their wives. Their wives were ready to leave them because they felt abused and neglected. Not physically abused, but neglected. And they would tell me how they didn't know how to speak to their wives because they never saw their father hug or kiss or show affection publicly towards their mother. He was usually putting their mother down, usually ridiculing the mother, having demeaning kinds of statements about the mother. And so he had no respect for his mother, had no respect for women, but basically. He didn't know how to communicate to women to validate their opinions and their thoughts. And he didn't know how to problem solve. I had a situation one time where, kind of funny, the husband was out working on the car that morning, getting ready to go to work, and he couldn't get started. And they've been having lots of problems with communication. And I've been working on him on validating how she feels. You don't have to agree with her, just validate how she feels. Don't see that as a threat to you. But he did. And so he couldn't get it to work, and so he decided to get a partner, a friend of his, to give him a lift, who had worked at the same place. She had offered a couple of times, I can fix it for you. No, you're just a woman. You don't know how to fix cars. Women aren't supposed to fix cars, right? So He put her down several times and finally he left. And she said in her own mind, I'm going to show him. She did. It was a carburetor problem. She worked on it and got it fixed. When he got home that day, she was driving around the street. She came back and parked and went in the house. He's looking at her. He's all upset. He's all angry, you know, about her to jump. What did you do to my car? She said, I didn't do anything. It's working, isn't it? He said, how did you know what to do with it? She says, I took auto repair in high school. I know how to fix cars sometimes. He couldn't believe it. He was so angry he wouldn't talk to her the rest of the day. So you can see I had a job on my hands trying to get this man to understand how to validate his wife because he never saw his father do it. To him, if you agree with your wife, that's one thing, but you don't do it very often. And you don't listen to her, and you don't listen to what she has to say, and you don't respect her opinions because that is an affront to you. Because basically women don't have good opinions. They're all full of emotions. And you can't trust their opinions. They don't have the wisdom, especially in man's world, they don't have the wisdom because he never saw his father do that. And it hindered him in his relationship with his wife. I've had so many men come to me with those kinds of problems. Or the wives come to me with those kinds of problems. Getting right back to the idea that in their home there was no more, none of this learning how to be who they were and express who they were. No communication skills developed and no problem solving skills developed. I had one family come to me and he said, we want you to do something for our kids. I said, what's the matter? He said, well, we've got a son who's in fights all the time. He was about 9 years old. And we have a girl, a daughter, who's 12 years old, and she's cutting herself. Self-mutilation is on the rise today by young girls, by the way. It's an acting out kind of thing. Because of their insecurities, because of the fact that they feel unloved, unrespected, whatever. So this guy, he was very wealthy. He made a lot of money, and so he bought all the toys, all of the toys he possibly could. He gave them all the goodies that he could possibly imagine and couldn't imagine why he was having problems with his kids. And they're scared to death. So they said, would you counsel our kids? I said, no. Well, not quite that way. I said, well, I'm going to counsel you first before I counsel them. Oh, we've got a great marriage. No problem with us. Yeah, right. I said, let me counsel you for a couple of months and then I'll try to work on the kids. By the way, I never did counsel the kids. What I did say is, how many times do you get together in the evening for a meal? They said, well, we never did. Why? Well, Junior's going out to soccer and his little sis is going to drama or whatever, and they're always gone, so we never have a meal together in the evening. And I said, well, there's your problem for one thing. There's no communication. There's no kind of empowering your kids going on here. They feel neglected. Now, they may not tell you that, but they're acting out in a way that shows anger, frustration, fear, and neglect. And if you continue to do this, they're going to get worse. You may think that's an extreme case, but it's not so extreme to them. So I kept working with them. I said, now, what you need to do is you need to enforce dinner time at least 3 nights a week. At least 3. Where you all sit down, and I told them exactly what they needed to do. Sit down and you talk out problems. And you learn to problem solve, and you respect the opinions of the kids. Now, you don't disrespect one another. There is a certain rule that's very valuable here. You don't disrespect, put down, or criticize purposely one another. You respect people's opinions, you respect the opinions of your kids, and you communicate in ways where you let them express themselves how they feel. If Junior's mad at Dad because Dad did something, let him express it. He has to do it with respect. But let him express it. If little sis is mad because of such and such and such and such, let her express it. She has to respect the family. When she does, she can say, well, Junior did this, that's fine. But do it in a respectful way. And then I said, you've got to let them be who they are. Let them be who they want to be. Now, you know, I don't think you want them to be a porn star or anything like that. But let them be who they want to be. Let them express their desires. Let them pursue their gifts and their abilities. And they said, well, we're going to try. So next week they came back, no, it's not.